Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, regardless of where you are. It's always a great time for learning. First of all, I'd like to thank Kardec Radio for the opportunity to bring us this conversation about the book Our Daily Bread. Kardec Radio offers several programs like this one in different platforms. Also, Kardec Radio offers, you can ask your questions. You're encouraged to ask your questions as well on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. Before we begin, let's say our initial prayer and let's thank the Lord for an opportunity to discuss another passage from the gospel. Most importantly, analyze how it can apply to us, how it can apply to our lives and to our betterment. Give us inspiration, God, during our moments of trials and tribulations, and give us strength also during those moments so we can do what's right in the face of animosity. May your peace be with us always, so be it. Today we're going to cover chapter 3 of the book, Our Daily Bread, and it's called The Plough. And here's the passage from the Gospel. Jesus said to him, "No one who puts his hand to the plough and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." Luke chapter 9, verse 62. So again, Jesus is talking about the plough. The plough is an ancient tool, as Emmanuel explains a little bit later in the first very small paragraph. Emmanuel explains here Jesus is utilizing one of the most beautiful symbols for building the divine kingdom. So nowadays, especially since there is a concentration in the urban areas, so it's a bit harder for us to relate to what a plow is. But basically, a plow has been around for at least 4,000 years. And you've probably seen it on movies. If you watch some epic movies, you're gonna see these scenes of people excavating the earth or opening trenches, small trenches on the earth using a heavy device pulled by either horses or by bulls. So, and it is interesting that it's still done today. Um, and to this day, we use plows. However, it's unlikely that you would see. It's still used, of course. It can still use animal power, but it's usually pulled by tractors. But the principle is always the same. It opens these small ditches, small trenches, so that farmers can deposit their seeds, can sow their seeds in them. And it's interesting that again, and Jesus again being this amazingly intelligent individual, he uses a symbol that can be applied to all ages. The plow had been around by the time of Jesus for something like 2,000 years, and is still used to this day in a different fashion. Even, the technology changes, but a plow will always be a plow. We have and then Emmanuel continues here explaining, of course, if the master had so desired, he could have created other images. He could have alluded to the world's laws, to social obligations, or prophetic texts, but he preferred to rest his teaching on a simpler basis. And again, Jesus again employing the principle of less is more, keeping it simple, but keeping it very objective and very educational. And again, like Emmanuel explains here, Jesus could have used the world's laws. However, the problem with the world's laws is that they change with time and place. So if Jesus had referred to them at the time, people at the time would have understand what he was referring to, but to us, it'll be very foreign and very outdated. The same thing, social obligations as well. So if you think about social obligations, again, those change with time as society evolves. Those obligations they evolve as well, and of course, prophetic texts. And again, with as far as prophetic texts, they are very interesting, but and they are of course prophetic texts received by prophets who are the mediums who brought to us, who are actually the mediums who are messengers from the um, higher spirituality. So, but again, a lot of times those are written coming from a particular culture. The prophets they have to write based on a particular culture, and again, particular time and place. So it'll be more complicated, I would say, and also would not withstand the trial of time. So instead, Jesus used this simple example or something that, again, it's been with humanity for a very long time. It will stay with humanity. And Emmanuel continues here with his explanation, indicating that the plow is a tool of all time. It is heavy and requires a collaborative effort between man and implement. It causes sweat and requires caution. Most of all, it breaks the soil to enable it to produce. It builds a cradle for the seeds, and as it passes, the soil gives away so that the rain, the sun, and fertilizers may be properly utilized. So, again, going back here to the beginning of the paragraph, Emmanuel explains to us that the plow is a tool of all time. Again, humanity has always used a plow and will be using it some shape or form in the future. Now, here continues the explanation. It is heavy and requires a collaborative effort between man and implement. A collaborative effort between man and machine. So here, what we see here, and actually it's funny, Emmanuel did not use machine, the term machine or tool, he used implement, which is also Emmanuel here is being very wise. So the plow is heavy, right? It requires you to guide it. Of course, nowadays us using machines, we're using tractors to pull it, but it might not be as heavy, but it still requires an effort between man and implement. It requires an effort between man, a human, us, a spirit, and the tool, the implement, or that opportunity that was given to that particular spirit. And then Emmanuel continues here explaining that it causes sweat and requires caution. Most of all, it breaks the soil to enable it to produce. So it requires sweat, right? You have to put in an effort. Even if you're driving a tractor, you still have to have sweat. You're gonna still have to work on it, and requires caution. You have to know what you're doing. You have to keep it, and you have to keep it on a straight line, or try to keep on a straight line, or have a specific path. But the most important thing is that it breaks the soil to enable it to produce. So it requires effort, um, collaboration between man and implement, and requires caution. But the most important thing is that it breaks the soil and enables it to produce. So it creates opportunities to produce something good, something new. Um, and here, Emmanuel continues explaining that it is a cradle for the seeds. So it allows the seeds to grow. As it passes, the soil gives way to the rain, and the sun and fertilizers may be properly utilized. So think about it. You're gonna have seeds, right? That you're gonna plant in this particular symbolism, and as it passes, the soil gives way, and so that the rain, the sun, and fertilizers, so that the rain, the sun, nutrients will be properly utilized. So without without using the plow, the seeds will be just lay on the soil, and the chances of the seeds to grow and produce would be slimmer. However, the plow allows the seeds to have this cradle, has this location where the elements that are required for it to grow will be provided. And here, Emmanuel continues explaining to us, hence, it is necessary for the sincere disciple to learn from the divine cultivator and embrace the plow of responsibility in the spiritually edifying struggle without giving up, thereby avoiding serious harm to the soil of the self. So now, what Emmanuel is explaining to us, it is necessary for the um, for the disciple, right? All of us who are learning, and to see this example from the divine cultivator and embrace the plow of responsibility, embrace the opportunities that we have for growth, for our spiritual growth, using a plow that's going to open paths for the seeds that are going to be planted in us, the seeds of the teachings that we receive every day. Of course, we're spiritists. We talk about the teachings from the spiritist doctrine, but in essence, everybody on earth is a disciple, regardless of any other doctrine or religious system that he or she follows. All of us are given these opportunities, but with that, it comes a responsibility to edify and not give up. The same way that a farmer that is working with a plow will have to keep keeping straight, and like Jesus mentioned, should not look back. We should be given these every time we gain new knowledge, every time we gain new experience. It is like a plow. It is like an opportunity for us to work ourselves and let the seeds that are given to us to open up and to grow and receive the elements to grow. And it's interesting that Emmanuel here uses the term struggle, edifying struggle without giving up. So it is an edifying struggle. It is a struggle that allows you to grow, but you should not give up. And the same way, if a farmer was using a plow, he stops midway, there's going to be harm to the seeds. There's going to be harm to the field. So if I give up, right, if I do not put in the effort to use the opportunities that I have to let the seeds that are provided to me grow, there's going to be consequences for my spirit. There's going to be consequences for my growth. So the soil of the self is going to be harmed, because the soil of the self is not going to be ready to receive these lessons that life gives us. So we have to put in this effort to make ourselves available, make ourselves open to receive the seeds, not only open the pathway to receive the seeds that we receive, that are given to us, but also to allow them to grow as well. We're all fertile soils. Each one of us is a fertile soil. And that's why we're on earth. That's why we're in a world of trials and tribulations. We have this perspective that, hey, you're in a world of trial. We are in a world of trials and tribulations. We're here to suffer, right? This is not a spiritist concept. Um, Suffering just for the sake of suffering is not a spiritist concept. The spiritist concept is the effort that we try to become better. As part of this effort, we have to go through experiences, and those experiences are what let us grow. So, but if I use the plow, if I'm ready to receive the seeds that life's going to provide me, I'm going to be in better shape. It's going to require effort, but I'm going to be in better shape. Conversely, if I do not take my plow and I'm not ready, or make myself ready to receive the seeds of the teachings, then that's going to go to waste. And there's going to be harm to the soil of the self. There's going to be harm to me, because now it's gonna be the harvest is gonna be harder. I'm gonna have to go through a lot more tribulations, a lot more effort to make up for wasted time to prepare myself to receive the seeds of the teachings. And Emmanuel compliments here, explain to us, let us ponder the lost opportunities, the showers of mercy which have fallen on us, but which have slipped away without having benefited our spirit, the loving Son which has given us life for many millennia, and the precious fertilizers which have we have refused by preferring idleness and indifference. So again, Emmanuel now is again talking about the plow, um, talking about getting ourselves ready for growth, for development. So he talks about the showers of mercy which have fallen on us and which have slipped away without being having benefited our spirit. So here's a comparison with the rain, right? So many times God has been merciful to us. So many times he has given us opportunities. And the same way that if the soil has not been prepped by the plow, the rain is gonna just slip away. The rain is not gonna benefit the seeds. So us too. We receive we receive God's mercy, and since we're not ready, we haven't ready ourselves, we let all this mercy just slip away, like showers, like water that comes, the rain that washes the soil but does not benefit the seeds. And then he has another metaphor here, the loving Son which has given us for many millennia. So think about the loving Son. Think Son, think about the love that we receive. We receive God's love. God is just. He's merciful, and God is love, and He's charitable. So, and also receive. Think about all the love that we have received over throughout our progress from someone, from so many people. There are so many spirits out there who love us, um, despite our imperfections. We are brought to earth receiving love from our parents, from family members, from friends. And even if we feel rejected, we feel, hey, that for somebody who feels rejected by um, his parents, his or her parents, his or her families, he who thinks that he or she has no friends, and so on and so forth. We're always blessed because there's always someone who loves us. There's, even if we are not in touch with those spirits here in this particular life, there always someone out there in the universe who loves us. And even if I feel that nobody loves me, God loves me, and that's okay. And then he continues here explaining, in the precious fertilizers which we have refused by preferring idleness and indifference. So think about also the opportunities to accelerate our growth. Think about the opportunities for us, right? Let's think about the opportunities we've been receiving also to step ahead as well. But a lot of times we prefer idleness. We prefer not to do anything. We prefer to just maintain the status quo and be indifferent as well. Be indifferent to whatever is happening to us. Be indifferent to what's happening to others. So a lot of, it requires, again, just like using a plow requires a level of effort and a level of focus as well. Emmanuel calls it here attention. So for us to be ready to receive these fertilizers, which are these opportunities to keep growing faster, to accelerate our growth as well. And a lot of times we don't do anything. We do not take those. A lot of times we take those for granted. So again, those are wasted opportunities as well. Emmanuel continues here, let us examine all this and reflect on Jesus' depiction. A plow promises work, discipline, affliction, and fatigue. Nonetheless, we must not forget that after the plow come the sowing and the harvest, bread and the table, and full silos. So again, this image of the plow is it is a timeless example, a timeless notion of our need to go to work. Right? We have to work. We have to take action. We have to own our development. We have to own our progress, and that requires effort. That's why we fall in idleness and indifference, because it is so much more convenient than to put in work and prepare ourselves to receive the teachings and to let the teachings grow. And then, of course, Emmanuel mentions this discipline as well. We need to, discipline is required, not at that rigid, tyrannic discipline, but discipline to have the focus that we need to be ready to grow, right? To allow ourselves to grow. Affliction, right? Again, if I'm putting in some effort, some discipline, there's going to be affliction, there's going to be frustration, there's going to be challenges, there are going to be so many difficult situations that I'm going to go to overcome. But those are great, because affliction and trials and difficult times, they allow us to just to grow. They're part of the process of getting our internal soil ready for the growth as well. So whenever we encounter affliction, that's actually a blessing. A lot of times we see it as a punishment, but affliction can be seen as a blessing, can be seen as an opportunity for us to learn new things. And fatigue, of course, if it requires work, discipline, fatigue, and there's a level of work, discipline, affliction, so there's gonna be a level of fatigue. We're gonna feel tired. A lot of times we're so tired of trying to do what's right. We're so tired of trying to absorb, to internalize, and especially to put into practice what we've been learning. So I mean, of course, we're gonna feel tired as well, but it's part of that is part of the game. That is part of what working ourselves and trying to improve ourselves is all about. Nonetheless, we must not forget that after the plow come the sowing and the harvest, bread on the table and full silos. So after you have the plow, you use the plow, after you have prepared yourself, then you're going to be in a much better situation for the sowing to receive these seeds. And then these seeds are going to grow. So you're going to have a harvest. You're going to have the benefits, spiritual benefits for this learning that grew inside of you. And of course, he mentions bread, right? He mentions bread as meaning as nourishment. We're gonna feel, of course, before we worked, we had discipline, affliction, and fatigue, but now we have this, we're gonna feel nourished. We're gonna feel strong after that. So bread on the table and full silos. So meaning we're gonna be ready for the future. We're gonna be ready for other eventualities, because now after our hard work, we prepared ourselves for the seeds, and those seeds grew and they multiplied, and they make us, they turn us into better spirits, into better prepared spirits. So and again, that's all part of the hard work. So I really like this particular chapter here, and I like the way Emmanuel explained this particular passage from the gospel. I mean, utilizing the plow, and it's amazing to see Jesus, again, Jesus with this amazing intellect, using an example that is with us forever. Again, regardless of technology or the technology we use, a plow will always be a plow. So regardless of where we are here on earth, we're always going to have this timeless example to guide us and remind us that we got to be ready to receive the seeds for our betterment, for our spiritual growth. So that's it, and that's chapter 3 of the book Our Daily Bread. And at this time, I would like to thank again Kardec Radio for the opportunity. for us to have this conversation. Feel free to comment and ask any additional questions. I will be more than glad to address any particular questions or comments. Um, and just as a reminder, Kardec Radio, again, is in several platforms. It is also, there's the Kardec Radio app that allows you to access great podcasts as well. And if you have a chance, right, if you're willing to, if you can, and if you can contribute financially with Kardec Radio, that'll be a great opportunity to allow them to continue bringing all these kinds of teachings, all these kinds of enlightenment in all the different platforms they're in. At this time, I would like for us to close our eyes and connect with the spiritual world, connect with our spiritual benefactors, and thank for great teachings such as this one that allows us to reflect on our obligations, that allow us to reflect on so much that we can do to get ourselves ready to receive the seeds of the knowledge, the seeds of the teachings, and to let those seeds grow and to help us become better spirits, stronger spirits as well, so that we can keep growing, keep evolving, not only us, but also contributing to the well-being and to the growth of those who are around us as well. May your peace be with us. May God's blessings be in our homes, in our workplaces, in our communities, with our families and friends, and also with those who consider themselves our enemies, because they deserve a blessing as well. And may God's peace and love be with us always. So be it.